Okay, Haribol, sweet souls. Doesn't feel appropriate to be sitting in this chair. Let's have a Srimad Bhagavatam class. So we'll start with our Jaya Anamava. So if you grab your booklet again, it's on the last page. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Vihari Gopi Jana Vanapya Girivaradari Gopi Jana Vanapya Girivaradari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Vanachari Yamuna Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Vihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. One more together, sweet soul. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, so we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, the first canto, canto 1, chapter 8. Excuse me. Yeah, Canto 1, Chapter 5. Sorry, that was the date I was reading. Text 35. Text 35. So 1:5:38. And I'll give a shot to the Sanskrit. Yadatra kriyate karma Bhagavat parito sanam Yanam yatadanim hamhi Bhakti yoga samanvitam Bhakti yoga samanvitam. Translation: whatever work is done here in this life for the satisfaction of the mission of the Lord is called Bhakti Yoga. I'm going to say it again because Julia's just walking in. So translation, whatever work is done here in this life for the satisfaction of the mission of the Lord is called Bhakti Yoga, or transcendental loving service to the Lord. And what is called knowledge becomes a concomitant factor. Purport. The general and popular notion is that by discharging fruit of work in terms of the direction of the scriptures, one becomes perfectly able to acquire transcendental knowledge for spiritual realization. Bhakti Yoga is considered by some to be another form of karma, but factually, Bhakti Yoga is above both karma and jnana. Bhakti Yoga is independent of jnana or karma. On the other hand, jnana and karma are dependent on Bhakti Yoga. This Kriya Yoga or Karma Yoga, as recommended by Sri Narada to Vyasa, is specifically recommended because the principle is to satisfy the Lord. The Lord does not want his sons, the living beings, to suffer the threefold miseries of life, sons or daughters. He desires that all of them come to him and live with him. But going back to Godhead means that one must purify themselves from material infections. When work is performed, therefore, to satisfy the Lord, the performer becomes gradually purified from the material affection. This purification means attainment of spiritual knowledge. Therefore, knowledge is dependent on karma or work done on behalf of the Lord. Other knowledge, being devoid of bhakti yoga or satisfaction of the Lord, cannot lead one back to the kingdom of God, which means that it cannot even offer salvation, as already explained in connection with the stanza, Nashkaryam apya achyuta bhava varichatam. The conclusion is that a devotee engaged in the unalloyed service of the Lord, specifically in hearing and chanting of his transcendental glories, becomes simultaneously spiritually enlightened by the divine grace, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnana Jana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhupyeva Cha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasade Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Good. So Canto 1, Chapter 5, Text 35. Whatever work is done here in this life for the satisfaction of the mission of the Lord is called Bhakti Yoga, or transcendental loving service to the Lord. And what is called knowledge becomes a concomitant factor. So first and foremost, in preparing for class, I looked up what the word concomitant meant because I don't know what it means. So it means naturally accompanying or associated. Naturally accompanying or associated. So saying that knowledge, so one who engages in bhakti, knowledge, jnana, becomes a concomitant factor. Someone who engages in bhakti, knowledge naturally comes. Right? So there were three main points that stuck out to me in this verse and purport that I wanted to discuss today with everybody. So the first is that Bhakti Yoga is transcendental and independent of karma and jnana. Right? So Bhakti Yoga is transcendental. It's independent of karma and jnana. That said, bhakti includes action, which is what?
Devotional service.
Action, which one, karma or jnana? Bhakti is devotional service. So action starts with a K, ends with arma.
Karma.
Nailed it, Mel. So action is karma. Knowledge is
Jnana,
right? So bhakti includes action. We're doing service. We're taking action. Bhakti includes knowledge. We're studying the Srimad Bhagavatam right now. We're discussing it, right? However, it's not for results of our efforts. It's not for the intention of our own egoistic gains. It is for the pure intention of service to Krishna.
Hmm.
That's what makes it different, right? That's what makes it independent. It's honoring karma, it's honoring jnana, it's practicing both, but in relationship to Krishna, not independent from. Where those other two paths, karma and jnana, are independent from Krishna. The second takeaway I had, the second point that really stuck out to me is this concept of, or this teaching of Kriya Yoga, right? Prabhupada mentions Kriya Yoga. This Kriya Yoga or Karma Yoga, as recommended by Sri Narada to Vyas, is specifically recommended because the principle is to satisfy the Lord. So Bhakti Yoga naturally purifies the heart, right? If we practice it with sincerity and humility and uninterrupted and unmotivated, right? It will purify our heart. As we perform work for the pleasure of Krishna, for the pleasure of the Lord, our material desires naturally start to become a little bit more, we could say, cleansed or purified, right? What we were reading about in the Japa handbook today, right? The Japa affirmations of how are the actions I'm taking, the things I'm watching, the things I'm eating, how I'm approaching my day with busyness, with fullness, with never a moment to sit. How is that affecting my japa? How is that affecting my ability to hear? How is that affecting my ability to even remember Krishna? Always remember Krishna and never forget him, right? So selfless service and operating in this way, this aligns with how surrendering our more egoistic is kind of a hard word to say, egoistic motives in service. Doesn't mean we don't ever have any. I need purification. Does anyone else need purification? Not Mel, not Tanya. No, just me and the two of them, Tracy and Julia. Yeah, so this is it purifies us from material contamination because it's constantly coming at us. Maya is constantly coming at us, right? And so engaging in selfless service helps to purify our ego in that way. And Prabhupada explains here that true knowledge, jnana, arises only as a byproduct of sincere devotional service. As a byproduct. So we can try so hard to understand something, to learn it all, and we can recite it from a text, but can we feel it in our heart? Can we embody it? Right? Can it really impact how we move through the world? Okay. And then the third is hearing and chanting is the essence of devotional life. Prabhupada says here that the conclusion is that a devotee engaged in the unalloyed service of the Lord, bhakti, specifically in hearing and chanting of his transcendental glories, becomes simultaneously spiritually enlivened by the divine grace, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. So the most direct path to spiritual enlightenment is through Shravanam, which is Shravanam.
Is that hearing?
Hearing, yeah, and Kirtanam. Chanting. Yeah. So the most direct path we're being reminded here is to spiritual enlightenment, to prema, right? We want to go beyond mukti, liberation. We want prema, we want divine love, and then we get mukti, we get liberation. But the most direct path is through hearing and chanting, Shravanam, Kirtanam, the Lord's glories, Krishna's glories. And so this brings divine grace and spiritual understanding naturally. This purifies the actions that we even have a desire to take in karma yoga, right? This purifies the desire we have in what we read and what knowledge we can sit and watch the news for the next week and we could receive some knowledge, or we could gather together and read the Bhagavad Gita, the nectar of devotion, the Srimad Bhagavatam, listen to Wisdom of the Sages, listen to classes by your guru or teachers that inspire you, by Shamya Pras, and have conversations with each other. We get to choose, right? And one will purify and uplift us, and one will degrade and, deplete us like that. So when we gather just like this, I'm so excited to, honestly, I was really nervous to sit here and to be on the facilitating end of a Srimad Bhagavatam class. But as soon as I'm sitting here and looking at all of you, it's like, oh, we're just gathering as devotees. And we're hearing and we're chanting, and we're gonna, in a moment, I'm gonna get to hear your hearts and what you heard from the verse, or anything that struck you from what little I said. But when we do this, when we gather, when we hear and chant and discuss Krishna Katha, we're letting our hearts open to Krishna's mercy. And from there, we can experience a transformation that brings us closer to him, and we can experience an understanding that we can't otherwise grasp or achieve or, receive on our own. So, in summary, Bhakti Yoga transcends both karma and jnana. However, karma and jnana are dependent on bhakti. And that bhakti provides a path of pure love that nourishes the soul and purifies our minds and leads us back to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this can inspire us, right, to pursue bhakti, to pursue devotional service wholeheartedly. We get to do that with action, connected to Krishna. We get to do that with knowledge, connected to Krishna. So we're honoring all of the paths of yoga. However, we're connecting them all to Krishna, which makes it bhakti. Hari Om Tat Sat.
Hari Om Tat Sat.
Any reflections? I don't think we turned the musician's audio off.
You did.
You did?
I did,
Thank you.
unless it's
Amazing. Perfect.
off.
You can hear me. Okay, good.
Yeah, can you imagine?
Any reflections, realizations you have from the verse? You all have so much wisdom and bhakti. So what did you hear? What are you taking with you? What inspired you?
I have a reflection.
Please speak up so they can hear you.
One thing that I love that you shared is that, I mean, everything can be of service. It's not just a big gesture or what you're doing out in the world. It can be like for practicing, chanting Hare Krishna when I brush my teeth, or when we choose to offer something or eat vegetarian. It's like, it doesn't have to be a huge gesture. And then there's this one sentence that stuck out. Therefore, knowledge is dependent on karma or work done on behalf of the Lord. So I loved how it is connecting, like how much we're able to like receive, or what is able to come down to us is dependent on our karma or our work. So it almost seems counterintuitive, like if I just keep reading and hearing more, which is true, then I don't know, it just feels like the knowledge that we receive, which is so like almost like not tangible, actually is dependent on what we do physically or in action.
It sure is.
Yeah. So I thought that was really neat.
There's that thread that connects them all.
Mm-hmm.
And one is dependent on the other.
Yeah.
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 Beautiful. Thank you, Joya.
Welcome.
Thrilled to have you here. First Friday morning program.
Thrilled to be here.
Anyone else? Any reflections, takeaways, inspirations?
I've been thinking a lot about, like, what does it mean going back home to Godhead? Like, I understand and what it means, but like, let's dive a little deeper into that. And I loved in the verse where it says, Krishna, he desires all of them to come to him, his children, come to him and live with him. But going back to Godhead means that one must purify himself from material infections. and really like thinking about that, like thinking about going back to Godhead is not like a after you die situation. Thinking about it as like a every minute of your life moment of like purifying and just being just genuinely connected to your soul and with Krishna and Radharani and living with deep intention, like you were talking about. Like when we can live in our bhakti, not just read in our bhakti, not just like, do the rituals, but like actually live in it, live with intention, walk the walk, really. That's just every day is an opportunity to connect more deeply, to go back home to Godhead in that sense, like to live more deeply with deep intention. And yeah, I love that. So thank you.
Yeah, that's beautiful, Mel. Thank you. Personally, just such a powerful contemplation that you share that you've been thinking about of like, what does it actually mean to go back to Godhead? Right. And that itself is a super powerful thing to consider and contemplate. And then, yeah, it's like we can experience liberation while living this life here. Like bhakti gives us that ability, right? Like we can become like we can become enlightened, meaning we woke up and we're self-realized. And we then, like you just said, our consciousness becomes purified enough that we are living bhakti. And then we become qualified to go back to Godhead. Whatever we know what scripture says that means, and whatever that means, we will find out when we leave our bodies. Right. But it's like a spiritual training ground now and a purification, and then a way of living, not just way of doing ritual. Really beautifully said. Thank you, Melanie. Anyone else? Thoughts, reflections? Leave us with a little nugget.
Hello,
Our bhakti. Haribol, Mary.
Haribo. I'm here in my basement trying not to wake up my husband.
Well done.
Anyways, Japa's been really important to me, and it's been really cool to be able to say, got to get up early and do it. And I'm an early bird anyways, but it's just so important. And I loved what Mel said about the embodiment, just every little minute, you can be one with Krishna. And it's the big deal for me is letting that ego out of the box and saying, oh, did I do my japa? It's not that. It's just you kind of are japa. You kind of are kirtan. You kind of are sangha. You're one with Krishna. And I'm still figuring that out. But I really enjoyed your presence this morning and the music and everything. Thank you.
You're welcome. This. You're welcome. Thank you, Mary, for being here. I love how you said that you are your japa, you are your kirtan, you are your sangha. And we can feel the presence of Krishna while doing those things and in our everyday life, and to yoke, to reconnect to him, right? And to that oneness, we're oneness in that spiritual equality and in that spiritual emotion, and yet we're also separate from him, right? And we're here to serve him. And yeah, I love that. That could be a shirt. You are one with japa. You are japa. You are kirtan. You are sangha.
Yeah, something that I think about is like we are the offering.
We
How do
are
we
the
make
offering.
ourselves the offering.
I am the offering.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whoa. Really cool. Powerful. And like as we're saying this, it's from there's humility in that. It's not like I am Neo, I am the one, right? Like we all are. So to embody that, right? Humility is thinking of yourself less, but not less of yourself, right? And so it's to have that confidence, that inner resolve, and that knowing that you are empowered by Krishna and you are the vehicle to share his teachings. And we're, if you, Kasuma and I were speaking yesterday on the Wisdom of the Sages show about how if you have bhakti, give it to other people, right? If you want more bhakti, go to people and spend time with them who have it. And so when you come into that of like, I am the offering, meaning I am the offering of Krishna, I am the conduit for Krishna's love, light, beauty, knowledge, renunciation, wealth, fame, you know, the six opulences. That's Krishna's coming through me. Therefore, I am the offering in that way. Right. And I'm the vehicle for japa. I'm the vehicle for kirtan. I'm the vehicle to provide sangha. Sangha is 1 + 2, 2 people. And we just happen to have an epic sangha much more. And we're like a really beautiful family. So, okay. Thank you, Mary. Any other thoughts?
Well,
Okay. Thank you for tolerating me. Thank you for showing up. And I hope you have a really beautiful day. And may we remember that by hearing and chanting Shravanam and Kirtanam, this is our pathway to purifying our consciousness, to feeling spiritually enlightened by the divine grace of Krishna. May we be little agents of bhakti, of devotional service. May we act in our karma and share through our jnana, our knowledge, all in connection back to Krishna. Hare Bol, Hare Krishna, Hare Om Tat Sat. Have a beautiful, bhaktiful day.
Vanchakalpachudhyascha kripa sindhubhye vacha patitanam bhavanubhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.